Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. We are tracking a powerful winter storm this morning across the Great Lakes into the Northeast and the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic, delivering a lot of heavy snowfall, icy conditions, strong winds, and power outages. We'll be breaking down all the details on this winter storm as it races northeastward, with more winter storms behind this, along to go with more snow and more colder temperatures behind as well. So here's a look at the current satellite imagery, and as we can see here, we are tracking a powerful winter storm here over much of the mid-Atlantic into the northeast here of New England. This is delivering a lot of heavy snowfall for this morning on your Tuesday. So if you're waking up watching this video, you're wondering why it's snowing so hard. Well, you know why, because this winter storm is moving right on top of you. Now, of course, if you're in West Virginia and portions of Virginia State, as well as Western Maryland and far southwestern Pennsylvania, that's where there is a little bit of rain-snow mix mixed in with some sleet and also some freezing rain, which will make the roads very hazardous to travel on. So just be aware of that. So here's a look at who is going to get hit and who is not going to get so impacted by this winter storm. And so this is the look at the latest HRRR model. This is the 06Z, by the way, because it runs further out than our traditional intermediate runs. The 08Z is actually coming in right now, and it is only out to 15 hours. So we'll just reference ourselves to the run just a couple of hours old, but it does us a pretty good job. So looking at the forecast here, this is pretty much for about 6 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and we can see where the heaviest snowfall is. But take note where all that cold air is trapped in these valleys here, and this is including for most of northern and western portion there of the Virginia state, some of the valleys here of West Virginia as well. And this is where, again, of course, where we have the wintry precipitation, because our valleys trap a lot of the colder air and warmer air over skimming these valleys, and that's why you get the freezing rain. But to the north here, where it's all cold through the deep layer, this is where we are seeing that snowfall. But this is going to continue to increase, especially with northeastward extent. So areas like Vermont, New Hampshire, waking up this morning, you're looking out the window and you're wondering, where's the snow at? Where's this storm at? Well, it's coming. It's going to be there in a few hours if you're in Maine, as well as in New Hampshire, as well as Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Nice and cloudy this morning. Won't last for too long, because as we go into, this is going to be for noon time. So for your lunchtime, the snow is going to really be picking up in Albany, New York. If you are in downtown New York, doesn't look to be snowing there with this winter storm. That's where the snow and transition line is. It's pretty much northeast or northwest of downtown New York. So good news there. A lot of people like to travel to downtown New York, and it looks like just a lot of rainfall and some breezy winds coming in out of the easterly direction. But to the north of this is where your snow is going to be heaviest, and it's going to stay rainy all day pretty much in downtown New York. However, if you are in northern Connecticut, in across much of Massachusetts, that's where the snow is going to be coming down pretty good. Once it starts, it's not going to stop for several hours here, as that low pressure system moves generally in towards the northeasterly direction. So it's going to be moving in this direction, and that's why you have the heaviest snowfall falling across most of Vermont, New Hampshire, as well as Maine throughout the rest of today, and even perhaps even into the early wee morning hours of your Wednesday. We're looking at a little bit of snow there to wake up for your morning commute on Wednesday, but otherwise much drier conditions will follow behind that system. So you're probably wondering, how much additional snowfall could you see? Well, areas that are seeing the snow now, you might pick up another 2 to 3 inches of snowfall and across Columbus, Ohio. If you are in northeastern Ohio, you might see another additional 3 to 4 inches of snowfall. But where it hasn't snowed yet here, you're looking at around between 7 to 10 inches of snowfall. This is not going to be a footer producer storm. Maybe some localized areas like the higher elevations like Mount Washington might get enhancement of orographic effects there. But overall, roughly under about a foot of snow expected with this winter storm. But, you know, it doesn't matter if it's 6 inches, if it's 9 inches, this is going to snarl traffic throughout your afternoon hours for your evening commute. So just take that into consideration. However, if you are in downtown New York, you're not looking at any snowfall with this storm. So now, how much ice could you see with this? We're seeing the freezing rain now, but if we kind of reference ourselves and look at the national Blenda models, this is the 07 Zulu model run. This just came out literally like about 30 minutes ago of me recording this video at 1:26 in the morning. You can see how much additional ice is going to accumulate here. I would probably... this is probably a little too aggressive, but I would say Roanoke might get about 3 or 4 hundredths of an inch. Lanicksburg, something like that. Man, my glasses. I need my glasses on for this one. 6 hundredths of an inch. Charlottesville, 6 hundredths of an inch. Harrisburg, probably about 3 or 4 hundredths of an inch. But any little ice accumulates, you're going to see some spin outs on roadways, some power disruptions briefly, maybe some small branches breaking off of trees, that sort of thing. We're not looking at a crippling ice storm here, but we are definitely looking at enough ice here to cause a lot of problems. And some of the valleys here could see as much, outside of the main cities, could see up to maybe about 1/10 of an inch of ice, which is enough to cause problems. So now, what about the rain with this system? So don't pay attention to where the snow falls, because you'll have to melt it down and then measure it that way. But wherever it just rains, you're looking at anywhere between about 1 1/10 inches to maybe about 1 1/4 inches, especially along the coast here of New York, Long Island, City Island as well, if you are in Cape Cod, Nantucket, even in Rhode Island, including for Massachusetts, eastern Massachusetts, where it's going to be in the form of mainly rain throughout the duration of the storm. You're looking at anywhere between about 1 inch to maybe 1 1/10 inches or so with this. So some needed rainfall for you guys and a little bit of a storm rolling on through. So now that we talked about that storm that's currently going on, will there be fringes that follow? Yeah, I'm talking about fringes of winter storms. Yeah, it looks like we are going to be in an active weather pattern for the next several days here because of a standing wave 1 pattern that is in place. We got deep layer persistent ridge across the west here. This is known as the ridiculous resilient ridge. The HRRR, not HRRR, but the triple R in simple terms. It's a ridge that does not want to go anywhere, and it's been here for a couple of weeks already. It looks like it's going to last for another couple. So we could see a month of really a huge stretch of dry weather here for the west, while much of the east here gets colder weather because, well, this is the descending node of the ridge here where we get cold air advection between this trough here over Hudson Bay and this ridge out west, and that really helps to funnel in that cooler, drier air from higher latitudes. So the European ensemble model, this is all 51 members put into the ensemble to give us a average, most likely scenario forecast here. And as we go over the next 4 days here, the pattern really does not change, where we get a lot of East Coast troughing of lower pressure systems developing over the Great Lakes over Hudson Bay. This northwesterly flow continues, and that really helps to feed in the cooler air from Nova Scotia, not Nova Scotia, what am I thinking this morning? It is late after all. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario, British Columbia, that's where all the colder air is going to be coming from, while again, much of the west here is going to be seeing some cooler weather, or hotter, or not hotter, warmer weather. That's what I'm looking for. And look at this. This ridge really wants to persist for a while over the next 10 days. And as long as that ridge is back west, this trough is back east, yep, bring on the cold. That's all I got to say. So now, what does this look like on a weather map as far as, will you get any snow? Is there going to be any more lake effect snow? Any meaningful precipitation, active weather with this? Well, it looks like the weather pattern will remain quite active through the extended forecast here, especially for the Great Lakes across the northern tier. We could see some, what are they called? Alberta clippers coming from Alberta, Canada, kind of clipping the Great Lakes here. You'll see that here on the European deterministic forecast here. Take note, though, under this northwesterly flow, we do get these Arctic high-pressure systems that come in out of Canada Each of these will carry with them some very cold Arctic air with them, especially for the high plains, for the Rockies, for much of the northern tier. So yeah, bundle up. It's going to get colder because of these Arctic highs. And then by Thursday, okay, so by Thursday early afternoon, another system does try to develop, but this one doesn't make it too far. We do get a little bit of snow here over Kentucky, over, say, Virginia, as well as West Virginia. But that's really the extent of that storm as it moves offshore. But hey, it's an impactful storm. Most of the impactful weather will be in the Pacific Northwest, north of California, and mainly across Oregon and Washington, Montana, and Wyoming, including for Idaho. But that's really about it with that. And then looks like another system does try to develop here. Again, one of those Alberta Clipper systems coming from, say, Alberta-ish Canada, and then dropping down from the north here, impacting, say, areas like Illinois as well as Indiana. It's a weak system, but that can deliver a little bit of a 1-2 punch there, as this system strays basically the southeastern United States, and that would be for the next 5 days. As we go into early next week, though, on the 8th and the 9th of December, there are a couple of things we'll have to pay a close attention to. There's a lot of deterministic uncertainty here. We do see another Alberta Clipper coming down across the northern tier into the Great Lakes and into the upper Midwest as we go into Monday and Tuesday next week. But of course, this is 7 days out, so there's a lot of uncertainty with more active weather potentially for the Pacific Northwest. And then another Alberta Clipper moving across the Great Lakes into the Northeast. And then maybe another one. That's the type of pattern that we're entering into with these Alberta Clippers. Nothing too extreme. We're not talking about 3 or 4 footer snowstorms here. That's the good news. Instead, it's going to be about how cold it's going to be, because with that northwesterly flow, yeah, you're going to feel it and you're going to get tired of it before long. I'm telling you. Unlike last year, it was more warmer, not so much this December instead. So looking at that actual air temperature forecast here, basically telling us that, okay, right now it's 3 degrees, and it's going to be 3 degrees by the time you wake up in the morning, and then a little bit of warmer weather, while not really warming up very much. Temperatures are going to still be in the upper teens to lower 20s here across the Great Lakes, but look what we got. Look it up here. Yeah, we got another Arctic blast coming in out of the north here, and this is where the coldest air is right now for the next 24 to 36 hours. But don't worry, it is on its way down, and look at it. It gets into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois by the time we go into Thursday. So 60 hours out, yeah, you might not be dealing with a whole lot of snow, but you're going to be dealing with a lot of colder air here. Look at these temperatures, boy. Whew, going to be cold. -10, -15 degrees. Yeah, that's the air temperature. When we factor in the wind chill values here, boy, this is definitely significant here. -20 to almost 30-degree temperatures below zero here across portions of the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest, including for the northern plains, boy. Man, going to be bitterly cold out there, and that continues. Look at these temperatures here, single digits and teens, including single digits here for the Northeast, such as New England. And this is going to be for Friday. So going to Saturday, look at this. Another punch of colder air comes in out of the north, but this one looks to be a little bit more limited to some extent, but still reaching its fingers into the upper Midwest here of Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and then, of course, impacting the Northeast yet again. Now, you better get used to it, people. You better get used to it, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon, at least for the next 7 to 8 days. Maybe after that, maybe some moderation with that Arctic air before maybe another koala comes in out of the north here. But hopefully things do thaw out a little bit there for the Northeast and for much of the east of the Rockies. So now let's take a look at that temperature anomaly forecast. How does this rank amongst coldest Decembers here. Well, looking at that temperature anomaly forecast, you can see blue and purple colors indicate temperatures below average for this time of the year. So anywhere between 15 to 20 degrees below average in the Corn Belt area, as well as the Appalachians, including for Indiana as well as Illinois. In the deep south here of Texas, you're running below average, but it's only going to take a turn for the worst here. By the time we go into Thursday into Friday, look at these temperatures. Anywhere between 15 to 25 degrees below average, including here in Illinois, where some areas could be as much as 30 to 40 degrees below average. I want to make that clear. Between 30 to 40 degrees below the climatological average. Yeah, man, that's going to sting. That's going to burn a little bit. And then look at this. Going to be cold again as we go into the following week, into day 7, day 8, and then maybe, just maybe, things will change just a little bit as we go into day 9 and day 10. But of course, that is in the model hopes land of dreams. There's a new term that I found out from Mark Finan here, our local meteorologist here in Sacramento, saying the hope and dreams, right? We're not using the word fantasy land as much anymore because it's just a little tech talk there. Instead, we're going to use the word hope and dreams, right? This is a hope and dream type of scenario here this far out, but doesn't mean it's going to happen too far out. All right. Well, anyways, that's really all I have for you all in this morning's weather report for your Tuesday on the 2nd day of December, 2025. I know Christmas is around the corner and a lot of people, believe it or not, in the next week or two are going to start looking ahead at what is it going to be like for Christmas, David? Are we going to have a white Christmas? At this point, there is a chance that some locations here, especially over the Great Lakes and the Northeast, could indeed have a white Christmas, but that's for another day. I'll have to see if I can make another video or a special video on that, on who will and won't see a white Christmas for the middle to the end of December. But otherwise, thank you all for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back with you more tomorrow morning on the 3rd day of December, 2025 on Wednesday. Peace out, folks.